Look how mad Greg Kelly is. Look how angry this is. Every segment we do with this asshole, he's like, with everything. He's just bitter as an aspirin sandwich. And I don't know what it is, other than he was hoping Trump would win because of his killer Trump impersonation. And he's like, I'll be able to do this forever. All right.
Followed by...
Okay, hold on. I got to turn this up. And you what? And I also need to turn the audio up in my ears because it's quite quiet. I don't know why. All right, here we go.
Ex-presidential harassment.
Okay, hold on. You what? Presidential harassment? That's what we're talking about?
Presidential harassment followed by ex-presidential harassment.
I know, that's the fun part, is that you had to add X to it. Isn't the him being ex-president in itself, Greg, a form of harassment? Go after him, man.
Yes, he is out of power, but they can't quit this guy.
Well, I mean, okay, let me run this by you, Greg Kelly. Let's say you have, I'll go easy on him, all right? You have a bank robber, right? Not the shooter per se, but the guy who kind of, assigned everybody the names Mr. Pink and Mr. Black and Mr. White and all that, right? And he, let's say, they all come in with guns ablazing. They're gonna rob the place, and then on their way out, they run out of ammo. The gang breaks up because they all got to scatter, man. You can't just hang around in town. The heat is on. And so the guy's technically at that point no longer armed, no longer currently robbing a bank. So why won't the police just leave these lovely people alone? Right, Greg? I'm sure you would feel the same if he was an African-American gentleman with a long history of committing felony crimes that had never been prosecuted for it. I'm sure you feel the same way about OJ, for that matter, right? Don't you, Greg?
You heard about the grand jury? They've convened a grand jury to...
I heard about it. It was great. Yeah.
Look into Donald Trump, even after the 2 impeachments, the Mueller...
Right. You do realize that, like, if you commit other crimes than the ones you've been tried for, there's no double jeopardy just ever. You know what I mean? Hey, you guys tried me for the crime you knew about. You can't go back and try me for the crimes you found out about. What is the logic here? You tried to impeach him twice. Can't you just leave him alone? Honestly, Greg Kelly is the Britney fan of Newsmax host.
For investigation. Prosecutor in Trump criminal probe convenes grand jury to hear evidence, weigh potential charges.
You know, like they do when the legal system works the way it's supposed to, fairly and judiciously. And but he's supposed to get a special pass, right, Greg? You look like you could not be happier. I'm sure you feel you feel completely comfortable that he's going to win this, that there's nothing there. I'm sure, Greg, there's nothing to find, man. Let him convene the grand jury. All they're going to find out is, like, just how innocent he actually is.
This is harassment. This is a witch hunt.
I'm sorry, Greg, have you seen his taxes? Have you seen his loan documents? Have you seen the documents he provided the government that said how much his properties are worth versus the documents he provided to insurance companies that say how much his properties are worth versus how much how much the properties were worth on loan documents or his taxes? Which part of it? Have you seen all of those, and can you compare them? But please tell us about the witch hunt, apparently.
Sounds cliche.
By the way, have you noticed that most of the people on the right wing, if you ask them about hunting witches, if you really dug down, you think they'd be against it? I'm guessing if we were all back in the times of the Scarlet Letter and the Crucible, Greg would be one of these people like, well, if she drowns, that means she's a witch. And if she floats, obviously the devil is helping her.
But that's what it is. He's been through so much.
Oh, why can't you guys look at him? I mean, he's a wreck.
If they could find anything on him, they would have done it by now, right?
No, they haven't looked at this stuff. He's been shielding his shit for years because he doesn't want them looking at it. If he wanted to show how innocent he was, he could have provided his taxes and all of his documentation to the court 6 years ago.
Right? Robert Mueller, these guys, Adam Schiff.
Yeah, what's that? How is that related to his tax fraud and his loan fraud? What does this have to do with anything? So Greg Kelly, you're saying that you just let people go for their more egregious crimes because you tried them for their less egregious crimes? Is that the deal? So, I mean, it's white collar crime. Is it? I mean, is that even really crime? Is it really? Is it really?
There's
crime?
nothing there, and that's what.
Is there nothing there? Because these fuckers seem to think there is. Michael Cohen hung out. I mean, Greg Kelly wishes he could, use Trump's ass as a bong. But Michael Cohen actually did for years. He was just just bend over, Trump. I need a pull. And that guy is totally convinced that Trump is screwed. If there's nothing there, then Alan Weisselberg will go down and he'll owe Trump an apology.
It's driving him crazy. How about this? Here's evidence that they're deranged. Going after.
Okay. I thought he was going to say here's evidence, and then okay, let's go.
Attorneys searching their personal stuff, their personal property. It is ludicrous.
Yeah, they're not going after him by going after Rudy Giuliani. Searching Rudy Giuliani shit has nothing to do with Trump. Ultimately, it's the fact that he was an unregistered foreign agent. That's against the law. Ask Mike Flynn. He only escaped it because Trump gave him a pardon. We will find out if one of the reasons why Rudy is continuing to do his stupid Common Sense podcast, which has zero common sense, 0 cents, I would argue. We've covered that multiple times. But Rudy's stuff, and we're going to find out if Trump gave him a pardon on his way out the door, which is entirely possible that he gave him a ghost pardon, and ultimately that's why he's still operating with some sort of shrugging it off. That it's really just going to be a PR hit for him and his kid more than it is a criminal problem for him.
It is unfair. It is un-American.
Is it? Is it? Because I think what's very American about it is that no one's above the law, Greg.
Donald Trump actually made a huge mistake.
Did he? So did you. Licking your lips every time you mention his name. I would say that's a mistake. I'm just saying on an emotional level, it's gross.
He didn't follow through on this campaign promise. If he had, I don't think he'd be going through all this right now.
Okay. Should he have not made the promise, or did he not follow through? Let's hear what it is. What was it? Okay.
If I win, I am going to instruct my attorney general
to, whenever he's in Europe, pick up some Sudafed for me.
To get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it.
So he should have weaponized the Justice Department, because the idea is that he did weaponize his Justice Department. Barr continued the Hillary email thing and found nothing. It all died. He only got elected largely because Comey came out and said there might be a there, and there was no there.
There was evidence of potential criminality, and he would have been entitled to pursue that route. But
no, there wasn't. His own Justice Department. Bill Barr looked for him. Bill Barr wanted to find it. In many ways, more so than Trump did.
People don't understand this about Donald Trump.
How he manages to get dressed without some sort of robot or an apparatus.
He's not as ruthless as you think. He can.
I think Toothless was closer to the reality. Have you seen his denture slip? Did you watch? Why aren't you playing that clip, Greg? The God bless the United States. Why do you never play that clip? I mean, you love the man. Greg, why don't you enjoy all of his works, not just the hits? You know what I mean? Because I can watch Kiss videos where they flub lyrics, and I still love the band. Apparently, you can't do that with Donald Trump. Why is that, Greg? Why can't you play God bless the United States? Why can't you play that?
Be a very nice guy, forgiving with a soft heart.
Really? Does he? Can you tell that just from his hugs, or is it when he cups your behind?
Right after he won the election, they asked him on 60 Minutes, Are you going to do that? Are you going to say what you did? Are you going to investigate the Clintons?
You called her crooked Hillary, said you wanted to get in jail. Your people in your audiences kept saying, lock him up.
Yeah. Well, she
do
did,
you want to
she did
put
some bad things. I mean, she
I
did
know,
some
but
bad
a
things.
special prosecutor?
I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt them.
This is when he was like, fuck, I'm president.
They're good people.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Hillary Clinton's a good person. There you go. I don't know why. If I said that on Newsmax live as a guest, if I went, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are good people. If I said that, they would. There's no way they would ever let me back on. They'd probably send, troops to my house.
I don't want to hurt them.
But, Mr. President, they want to hurt you.
No, they don't. They just want to enforce the law. See, you have to understand, if there was a law that they had broken that he could enforce, the law is not about other people. It's about the law itself and the structure of society. That's why when somebody gets murdered, we don't go, well, they were an asshole. So, I mean, really, she was cheating on him. I mean, why shouldn't he be able to shoot her? Like, that whole no jury would convict me idea is a joke. It's not a reality. And what he recognized and what he found out and what he knew for real was that there was no there. And so going after her once he was in office would be a fool's errand that would blow back on him. And it has. Because even though he didn't weaponize it towards Hillary Clinton, he weaponized it towards other people. They tried to use the Hunter Biden nonsense and all that stuff. That's what that was. And the blowback was, okay, yeah, we'll go look in Ukraine. Weird, we're finding actually that Rudy is colluding. Rudy, fresh and colluding.
And boy, are they trying. And
it's just...
they are kind of open about it. I'll give them that. They want to hurt you. They're released.
Really? Is that what they say? Is that what they're all saying? They want to hurt Donald Trump? Or did they want to actually look into his financial crimes and make him pay for them? Because he's a crook.
Saying that the state attorney general probe is now a criminal probe, this phony grand jury.
Well, it's not a phony grand jury. It's a real grand jury. It's the American judicial system in the biggest, most powerful city on earth in a lot of ways, convening one because of financial crimes done within the city limits.
They're actually proud of it. You're going to hear now from, this is Letitia James. She is the sitting attorney general of New York State. Very exciting.
And you look afraid. I'm guessing because of her name and her color. That's the part that's panicking you. It is. I mean, should Greg Kelly just get a trigger warning whenever he walks outside in New York at this point?
She's in government, yet she speaks
thank you,
like
Amy.
this.
Say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your boat.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
Running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake.
Legal system where even the most powerful in the country cannot.
So far, I don't have any complaints.
Not use a loophole to evade justice.
We must do our job to ensure.
Yeah, Greg, do you not think that rich people shouldn't be able to use loopholes to evade justice? Are you for that? I'm just saying.
Sure that the man currently occupying the Oval Office is held accountable to any and everything he has done.
Okay, well, if he hasn't done anything, he won't be held accountable. What's the worry, man?
All right, so she's not some guest on MSNBC. That is New York State's Attorney General.
Yeah, and by a lot. Like, look at that number. 77.2% of the vote. Just stomped everyone else.
It's pretty something. With all this, by the way, they can't hurt President Trump. They haven't, at least politically. Sure, they can kick him off of big tech, but have you seen these poll numbers?
Yeah, but Greg, there are fewer Republicans than there have ever been. It is a shrinking party, and anybody who doesn't like Trump has left or has a foot out the door. That would be the other, 27%-ish, give or take, depending on what the margin of error is. These are, I mean, you've put the pot on the stove and left it on the burner, and all that's left of what used to be soup is that crusty, gummed up, burnt stuff at the bottom. And they all love Trump.
73% of the Republican Party wants him back.
Yeah, but 72% of New York voters voted in Letitia James across the board. She got so many people, there had to be Republicans in there.
And they've actually committed. Next poll, if you will, 82% pledged to vote for Donald Trump.
Great. Good luck with that. Enjoy his run. He's good. Guys, it's going to be so sweet when he comes back and he's touring around, and it's just going to be like the old days. It's not at all going to be like seeing a band you liked when you're a teenager, you know, when they were already 30 years older than you, and you go to see them live and you're like, oh, well, this is disappointing.
These are big numbers, and we've never seen anything like this. You know.
That's right. Absolutely. We have not. I mean, yes, you have. I mean, Jonestown, Manson, brown shirts. There's things like it. I mean, it's not incomparable. You know, I'm sure if you want to compare it to what he wants, I guess, a North Korean military parade? That would be it, right? And by the way, 82% of them have pledged to vote for him. Are your polling people calling up and saying, will you pledge to, and 82% of the people that don't hang up on you because you sound like a lunatic say that they're doing, I'm guessing that you're not counting the people who went, what? Honey, who is that? I don't know. Fucking weird. It's Trump asking for money again.
For an ex-president, particularly a one-term president, that's it.
Yeah, a loser of that magnitude. I mean, can you imagine how much of the party must be made up of losers to chase a loser like that?
You're done. You walk away, Jimmy.
It's only for Republican primary voters, which are, of course, the activist class of their party. That's how that works.
Carter,
yeah.
George H.W. Bush. You think they had any political clout when they left office? No, it doesn't work that way. So they wanted down.
Well, obviously, this guy's son got elected for 2 terms. So clearly he did. He created the only legacy president in our history, right? So clearly there was something to this. And Jimmy Carter's legacy as a human being has basically, it's a critique on the politics and the coke-fueled Wall Street attitudes of the 80s, that he was basically washed into the river of history for a while. And then people went, oh shit, what a decent dude. Maybe another term and there wouldn't have been Iran-Contra, for example.
Damage President Trump because he does have clout, he does have power, and
he does cheat at golf, and he hogs the gravy boat at the buffet at Mar-a-Lago, and he's afraid to go to his New Jersey golf course because DeSantis is protecting him from extradition, but he lives in the attic of his fucking golf course because he can't afford to buy a house. Dude can't afford to, he's living in his own golf courses because he can't afford to buy a house. I mean, I do have a theory about why he's living at Mar-a-Lago and why he hasn't bought a separate home, besides the fact that he's broke and in debt up to his eyeballs, is that in a lot of ways, this is how he strings the people along that he's just going to go back to the White House. That by staying at Mar-a-Lago, instead of, he purchased a house in Florida, instead of going, well, yeah, he's a billionaire, he bought a house, all the QAnon people would go, oh, fuck, he moved out and he bought a new house. He's not going back.
He keeps him up at night. He really does. This guy could come back.
No, good luck with that.
Now, a lot of people think Joe Biden is not going to make it for the entire term.
And by a lot of people, he means everyone at Newsmax prays that that's the case, because they're having a hard time scaring their viewers with Joe Biden. Their viewers are a lot more afraid of Kamala Harris. I can't imagine why. And so they're begging that the ratings will come back if they go after Kamala Harris.
Something's going to happen.
I mean, that's why they run on the whole thing that, you know, Kamala Harris is running things behind the scenes.
He's going to step down.
Is he back in Jersey right now?
I don't know, but
he's going to run down there as soon as they issue a warrant.
Is Joe Biden going to be president in 2024?
Yes, he is. Yes, he will be.
We'll see. But
Greg, will Newsmax be a channel in 2024?
That means Kamala Harris is probably
See, what I tell you, way scarier.
The next nominee. And who wins, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Yeah, cut to Trump laughing. See, no, I take that back. Don't cut to him laughing because A, you won't be able to find any. You'll find like half a shot of him going. Cut to him giving hand jobs to the crowd, just straight up. Dude, Newsmax is amazing. Amazingly stupid.
I think Donald Trump wins. So what are you going to...
Yeah, based on what? Based on charm, sense of humor? Actually, I mean...
to see. And they know that too, deep down.
Do they? Are they afraid? Are they worried? Because they don't seem to be worried. I mean, if you were worried, you wouldn't present a $6 trillion 10-year budget.
I think you're going to see a lot more of this censorship, cancel culture, election fortifying.
We hope so. So we have something to talk about instead of, you know, me bitching.
And also...
tough to watch. Newsmax, tough to watch. I agree. It is very difficult. I try to keep it to a minimum, Greg. It's rough. It's really bad. Half the time, I don't know what your graphics mean. I mean, like this. First of all, can I give you a piece of advice, Greg? Newsmax, if I may. You know, as somebody who, you know, does their own graphics on their own show and is kind of a, you know, one-man band when it comes to live streaming and cranks out a better show than anybody on your network, I just want to help. And one of the things you might want to do is if you are trying to make it look like he's going to win instead of he's going to lose, put the picture of him above the other shit. Move the ex-presidential harassment down to the chest level. That way you can cover his breasts and belly. And move this, you know, the district attorney of New York down over top of him, like he's under attack, right, is the idea. And then the Trump Tower thing you can have up behind his head. Just leave that up there and like, hey, he's towering over, he's going to win, right? That, I mean, you're a propaganda channel. Don't, you know, let your freak flag fly, man. Don't be afraid. It looks like he's being crushed by this. And maybe that's what you're pushing, but you're kind of sandwiching your favorite dude in the world. I mean, is it fair, Greg, that you get all this space on screen and Trump is squeezed over here under this garbage? It's just not right. Stop helping them. But I'm that kind of a guy.
A very unhealthy and dishonest conversation about race.
What? Where did that come from, huh?
And also a very unhealthy and dishonest conversation about race.
What? Where did that turn? I'm sure it makes sense. I'm sorry. I would never judge Greg Kelly. I'm sure this fits in well with, oh, because she's black and she's harassing them and black people actually have power. Oh, okay. That's the only thing. That's where he's going? I think so.
Ceremonies nationwide as America remembers George Floyd.
Oh, tough to watch.
Marking a year of protest, pain, and hope.
George Floyd lived a life as an ordinary black man, but in his passing, he's been able to do something that most have not. He's been able to transcend the barriers that stand between us, and he's been able to elevate important conversations.
Okay, all true. Now, Greg's going to have a problem with this because he's going to go with what? Fentanyl overdose and... I mean, never mind that the cops were kneeling on him as he died and he was dead for probably 3 minutes while they were still sitting on him. And if they had checked his pulse regularly while they were holding him down when he stopped moving, they would have noticed it and they could have started compressions and they would have maybe saved his life. And if they weren't able to, as they did compressions, no one would have thought that it was because they were holding him down that he died at that time. And the whole thing could have been different. But they didn't. They just went, fuck it, I'll just kneel here. But I'm sure we'll see.
It was all totally over the top and
it was totally over the top. I mean, look at all the tombstones. Who needs that many tombstones, right, Greg?
ridiculous. George Floyd should not have died. That video horrified me as well.
But
should he be deified?
No, he's not deified. Literally wasn't deified. He's not being deified. He's saying he lived his life as an ordinary black man. But his death transformed the conversation. This St. Floyd bullshit has got to go.
Should we just overlook everything else about him, his criminal past? Oh, and
yes, because none of his criminal past would have warranted capital punishment. Fuckhead. None of it. Not any of it. Nothing he had done in his whole life altogether. If he had done every criminal thing that he had ever done in his entire life all in one fucking day, he wouldn't have gotten the death penalty, you shit smear.
And this key point, if he had not resisted arrest, he would be.
He didn't resist arrest. He was having a panic attack, fuckhead. He didn't fight to get away. He asked them to lay him on the ground. There are people who have resisted arrest, and people said, cop shot an unarmed guy, but he was resisting arrest, and you can make that argument. You can't make it about George Floyd. George Floyd was freaking out. He'd consumed a bunch of drugs. He was dealing with all that stuff. They put him in the car. He was having a panic attack. He had shortness of breath. He had COVID. It was all this kind of stuff. He didn't want to sit like this because he's a giant fucking dude. And you put him in the car like this, and it's squinching his lungs, and he feels like he can't breathe, and he's claustrophobic, and he's already told you this. So he asked to be laid on the ground. And while he was laid on the ground, he fucking passed away. And knowing full well that George Floyd had passed away, they did not go, oh, fuck, I think this guy's dead, and roll him over and start doing compressions until the ambulance arrived. They just went, I think he's fucking dead. Just a bunch of bullshit.
Live. That is a totally fair opinion. In fact,
no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is a completely unfair opinion. It might be a fair opinion about other people, but we're not talking about other people, Greg Kelly. We're talking about George Floyd. George Floyd did not resist arrest. George Floyd had a panic attack while he was cuffed and asked to be laid on the ground, and the cops obliged him. You, sir, are a fucking moron.
It's not an opinion. It's fact.
No, it isn't. He didn't resist arrest. He was willing to go quietly. He was resisting being put into the car because he was having a panic attack. He was having heart palpitations. His system was failing. He died, and they did nothing. They kneeled on a dead man for 3 more minutes.
If he had not resisted, this wouldn't have happened.
Yes, it would have. He would have died in the car. They would have forgotten about him. They would have found a dead guy in their fucking car. And then the story would have been, these guys cuffed this guy who was having trouble breathing and was having a panic attack and told them this, and they put him in the car, and he keeled over in the fucking car, and they let him sit in a hot car and die for 6 minutes till the ambulance arrived.
The police had not accommodated him and allowed him out of the police car because he didn't want to be in there, none of this would have happened.
Wrong.
But be careful with that one, folks, because if you say it, you could be fired, canceled. Who knows?
No, you're just an asshole. You're wrong, Greg Kelly.
If George Floyd had, at the beginning, when they got him out of the car and went to put him in the police car, if he had just sidled into the car and slid it in there and let them put his legs in, he would be alive today.
He was high as fuck and having a panic attack. If the suicidal man that was in downtown Seattle, who was waving a knife at people as they walked by, and the cops were gathering around, and almost stabbed himself to death because BLM and Antifa activists were screaming during it and panicking him while he was losing his mind, while the cops were trying to confine him and keep him from harming himself. If that guy hadn't been crazy in that moment, he might not have tried to stab people and might not have tried to stab himself. This if, ands, and buts bullshit is nonsense. You can tell when someone under you is dying. If you can tell someone is falling asleep, when they lose consciousness and all the air goes out of their fucking body, get the hell out.
And you know that's true.
She said nothing wrong. Yes, she did. She was wrong.
I do know that's true, Miss Gardner.
No, you don't. You're both the same kind of wrong. But that's what Newsmax's business model is.
Fired for that. And when they fire her, guess what? That has a chilling effect on everybody in Fairbanks, Alaska, and across.
Yeah, that's the fear, is that a chilling effect in Fairbanks, Alaska. Look, the jokes write themselves. Asshole, it's always chilly in Fairbanks.
The country. If you say the wrong thing about George Floyd, you could lose your job. This is totally ludicrous. This is right out of cancel culture in China and the Chinese Cultural Revolution.
No, you mean, oh God, he's what he's talking about is the Chinese what's the word for it? Now I'm losing the phrase because I'm so fucking the social credit system that they have over there. That's what he means.
This is ludicrous stuff.
No, it isn't. Should she be fired for that? No, I don't think so. But the thing is, she's trying to make the case that, like, if there had been more cooperation, she's writing off the fact that George Floyd had consumed drugs and that people on drugs don't react to your statements, your requests and stuff like that the way everybody else does. But that doesn't mean they should die, right? Apparently, like, well, I mean, honest.
But it's taking hold. And
No, it isn't. It is not taking hold. We're not brooming people out because they don't think George Floyd was a saint his whole life or some nonsense.
Democrats need this stuff.
Do we? I think you need it, Greg.
Need to stay with the censorship, election fortifying, and also a phony conversation about
election fortifying. Did you just actually use the actual proper term for it?
About race to intimidate people who don't agree with them. It's times like this I miss Donald Trump, but I'm also still inspired by him.
Yeah, well, of course you are.
This is his
Yeah, but I think your tie fits. I don't think you're going far enough, Greg.
July 4th speech last year.
Oh, the July 4th speech. Let's go.
At Mount Rushmore.
Oh, God.
There is a new far-left fascism that demands absolute allegiance. If you do not speak its language, perform its rituals, recite its mantras.
But enough about the Q pledge.
And follow its commandments.
Its commandments? I'm sorry. Which what commandments are those?
Then you will be censored, banished, blacklisted, persecuted, and punished.
In that order, or do we get to pick just like 3 of the top ones?
It's not going to happen to us.
It's not going to happen to us. No, because none of you have jobs and power anymore. And by the way, it's exactly what happened to you.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, shit. Why did you jump ahead? What happened? Did we jump back? Get back. Get back. Yeah, it's not going to happen to him. He's going to be president for, oh, shit.
So how are we not going to let it happen to us? Because it would.
Yeah, how are we going to do that, Greg? Because obviously he's not on Twitter anymore. He's not on Facebook anymore. He's not president anymore. He's a microblogger, Greg. He's no shit. He's lower on the media totem pole than you are. And that's saying something.
Would have been easier with him as president.
I did not, Kim.
Well,
not yet.
We got some advice.
I think the woman that I was looking for, I think her channel got scrubbed. So that, yeah.
Some good advice from one of his cabinet secretaries, former Dr. Ben Carson. He was on
former Dr. Ben Carson. I think he's still a doctor.
The show a couple of weeks ago. Listen to
it was so good. Yeah, I remember
this.
Yeah.
There's really only one really good solution that I can see, and it's called courage. You know, if you sit in the corner and say nothing and hope no one calls you a racist,
yeah, you got to have the bravery to not be that racist. Nobody puts racists in a corner. Now I've had the time of my whites, and I owe it all to Jews, cause sorry, that's just so wrong on so many fronts.
You're not going to get very far.
No, you're not. You're going to stay in a corner being a racist, I suppose. Yeah, no racist ever got very far hanging out in the corner. Thanks, Ben.
The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Or to do Newsmax.
Love it. Inspiring, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just watched news.
Yeah, I did. And we'll never get that time back.